Jonathon Glenn had just wrapped up his freshman year of college down in Florida. Last night, he was visiting a friend before hopping a plane back home to Chicago this morning. Tonight, he's dead, and he left behind an eerie warning about the dangers around his school. Jonathon Glenn was only 18. He had just wrapped up finals week at his Florida college, and today was supposed to head home to Chicago. But last night, after leaving a friend's house, he was robbed by a masked man, shot twice, and killed.
At first, I heard 2 shots, and then I was like, well, maybe it's fireworks because everyone's celebrating because they're going home. Then I heard 2 more shots, and I heard a scream, and I just dropped my cell phone and ran outside.
The school, Edward Waters College, has had a history of violence. As part of a finals project this year, Glenn had written a letter pointing out the violence on campus and asking something be done about it.
What went through your mind when you first read that?
I started crying because he was talking about how something needs to be done before someone gets killed. And on the day that he died, he wrote this letter.
Edward Waters College is part of Jacksonville. This is not just an EWC problem. It's a community problem, and we urge the entire community to work with us in finding solutions.
Friends say Glenn had big dreams of journalism and being a chef.
And he wanted to either be a reporter or a chef, and his main goal was he looked up to Emerald so much. And it's like, that was the main person he looked up to, and he wrote music in his spare time. I mean, he never bothered anybody. No matter how you felt, if you're around Johnny, he's going to make you laugh.
And tonight, his family is down in Florida bringing their son back home. Warner, back to you.
Darren, thank you. Now to safety concerns for young children in suburban Dixmoor.
This is ABC 7 News, Chicago's #1 news, with Kathy Brock, Alan Kraszewski, weather with meteorologist Jerry Taft, and sports with Jim Rose. This is ABC 7 News at 6.
An honor student was killed at his college in Florida in what appears to be a robbery. 18-year-old Jonathon Glenn attended Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, and witnesses are telling us he was shot around midnight on the street between 2 college dorms. The robber apparently demanded the jersey that Glenn was wearing and then opened fire after the teenager gave him the shirt. Glenn was a freshman honor student. He graduated from Chicago's agricultural high school just last year.
Johnny knew what he wanted out of life, and he was willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So he was very goal-oriented, and it's just sad that that happened.
Turns out Glenn actually planned to return to Chicago today to spend the summer break with his family, and instead his relatives got the word and they went to Jacksonville this morning.
A lot of people who live in Indiana may...
Now, the news on CBS 2.
An honor student from Chicago was killed early this morning at his college in Florida. It happened at Edward Waters College in Jacksonville. Jonathon Glenn was an 18-year-old freshman. Friends say he was studying journalism but wanted to be a cook and loved writing rap songs in his free time. Police say Glenn was shot several times during a robbery attempt as he walked between 2 dorms. So far, they have not made an arrest in the case. Some students say violence isn't uncommon on campus.
They should have security walking up and down the street at certain times of the night and, you know, just watching over everything.
Tonight, college president Jimmy Jenkins says violence is not just a campus problem, but a city problem. He says the entire community must work to find a solution.
The investigation into that deadly fire...
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
Tonight, 2 school communities, one here in Chicago, another in Jacksonville, Florida, are mourning the death of a student. The 18-year-old graduated from a Southside high school and was gunned down at a Florida college. WGN's Juan Carlos Fanjul live in our newsroom with that story. Juan Carlos.
Well, Steve, reportedly, the student was set to return to Chicago later today to visit his family. Instead, relatives have traveled to Jacksonville, Florida to claim his body.
Johnny? Yep. Is that MC Johnny, Johnny Gill? Johnny who? Johnny Glenn, that's what they call me.
This is home video of 18-year-old Jonathon Glenn taken in Jacksonville, Florida. The Chicago teen, sporting the Chicago Cubs ball cap, was a second-semester freshman honor student at Edward Waters College, where he was gunned down early this morning. his friend saw his last moments of life.
And I saw him gasping for air, and he was crying and just throwing up blood, and I saw 2 holes in the right portion of his chest.
The apparent motive, robbery. In fact, Glenn gave the suspect everything he asked for, yet he was still shot several times. Before he went to college in Florida, Glenn studied here at Chicago High School for Agricultural Sciences on the South Side. The principal told WGN News he had a bright future. Even those who did not come into contact with him every day, like this night security guard, knew about him.
He was a good kid, model student, never got in any trouble, played football. He was a pretty good kid.
It's gotten to the boiling point, and we have to do something about the violence here in Jacksonville. From the beginning of the year, there's been case after case after case, and one has to say, what can we do collectively as a community?
Back at the college in Florida, where the flag is at half-staff and students are grieving, there's also talk the shooting could have been prevented. Students had been complaining about recent violence on campus. In fact, Glenn, who was studying journalism and was the school's newspaper opinion editor, wrote just yesterday, quote, "These last 2 semesters, safety procedures have not been that effective on campus, and it has terrified students." Glenn was gunned down outside a dormitory, and even though he had several friends with him at the time, no one was able to catch the masked robber. Live in the newsroom, Juan Carlos Fanjul, WGN News.
All right, Juan Carlos, thank you. The cause of a spectacular fire on the
Live from Chicago, this is Fox News at 9.
A college freshman from Chicago was killed outside his dorm in Jacksonville, Florida. Dane Placco's in the newsroom tonight with the story of just what happened to 18-year-old Jonathon Glenn. Dane?
Robin, police believe Jonathon Glenn was killed for his jersey. What's even more inexplicable is he was handing it over to the gunman when he was shot. It happened on the campus of a small private school in Jacksonville, Florida. The news quickly making its way to Glenn's friends on Chicago's South Side.
Bad stuff happened to the good people. I couldn't believe it.
His buddies on Chicago's South Side tell me one of the reasons 18-year-old Jonathon Glenn decided to go to school in Florida was to get away from the neighborhood gangs. Early this morning, an armed robber shot and killed Glenn on the campus of Edward Waters College, a small historically black university in Jacksonville, where Glenn was finishing his freshman year.
The person came up to him and asked him for the jersey, and that he took the jersey off and gave it to him. And therefore, afterwards, the man shot him. That's senseless. You didn't have, if he gave it to you, why did you shoot?
Glenn graduated last year from the Chicago High School of Agricultural Sciences, where staff and students say he played football and showed a special flair for journalism.
He was helpful, especially with the teachers and the counselors, and, you know, he was just involved in his writing. Like I said, honorable kid, got a lot of good grades.
Glenn's family headed to Florida upon learning of their son's death. His friends in the neighborhood are stunned that Glenn survived the mean streets of the South Side, only to fall victim to violence on the campus of a Christian school.
I couldn't believe it. You know, that's something that really shocked me, you know, because he wasn't even that kind of kid, you know. No gang banging, no nothing like that.
It's like you go away to school thinking you're going to better yourself and everything, and still can't get away from some of the negativity and other things that goes along with life, period.
At the Jacksonville campus, flags are flying at half-staff as students prepare to head home for the summer.
Yeah, and he was excited to get back. He just couldn't wait to get back. And, it's not happening now.
Jacksonville police say at this point they have no suspects. Students on campus now demanding tighter security. Walter, back to you.
Thank you, Dan. Police in South Suburban Harvey are reporting the molestation of a child inside a public